In the memoirs of the German volunteer of the SS division Viking Ernulf Bjornsted describes an interesting episode. In February 1943, the Germans captured a group of Soviet soldiers. Among the captured were 4 Tatars, who volunteered to be our voluntary helpers. The Germans took them as allowances, and they dug trenches for us. In principle, it was a common thing, it had been done before. Our prisoners worked as drivers, cooks, mechanics, and did other household chores. But with these Tatars it was different. The prisoners were placed together with Wehrmacht soldiers from the artillery division next door to us. So they slept in the same dugout as the Germans. And those German fools, when they went to bed, hanged their own loaded submachine guns above their heads so that they were easy to reach in case of emergency. So what do you think? At night the Tatars seized the gunners' machine guns, shot everybody who was sleeping in the dugout that night, and ran off to theirs. Since then we were strictly forbidden to keep prisoners of war at the front line. All the POWs were sent to the rear, and we had to do all the work ourselves. One more similar case happened already on the Belarusian front in summer 1944. After this case, Hitlerites told with horror about the girl, called her a witch, sorceress, because an ordinary mortal woman in such circumstances would not come to mind to grab arms. Then German scouts captured the Soviet girl sniper at night and dragged her away. They brought her to a nearby village behind the front line and threw her into a hut for interrogation with particular prejudice. After the interrogation, during which the sniper did not say a word, the Germans decided to turn the girl over to their soldiers, hoping that after such hospitality, she would immediately loosen her tongue. The soldiers led the girl along the village, and at the penultimate house they turned to the back. They stopped at the gate of a small log cabin. They roughly took away a camouflage coat, a tunic, and a nightshirt. Resisting, she still bit one of the Germans on the arm. With a howl of pain he pushed the girl to the ground, face down. Then they dragged her to a barn. The place was full of Nazis. Some were sleeping, others were sitting around a shell box, drinking schnapps. "Oh, Fräulein," said one of the drinkers when he saw a naked girl. She immediately recognized him as her captor. And she thought, "They are celebrating a successful foray into our front line." The soldier rose and began to approach the girl, glaring at her with oily eyes. She backed into a corner and looked back and almost shrieked with delight. There stood the automatic rifles of the sleeping fascists in a straight line. And before the desired gentleman had time to think about anything, the girl grabbed the first machine gun caught in hand, memorably removed the safety, and began to mow down walking and sleeping Germans. Cries of panicked fear shook the barn. The guards who delivered the prisoner understood at once what was going on, but did not dare to pry open the door. One of them jumped down from the ladder on the roof and shot the desperate girl from above. The Soviet soldiers found out about the incident a few days later, when they occupied the village with the beginning of the offensive. Captured Hitlerites told about this story with horror. They called the deceased a witch, a sorceress, because an ordinary mortal woman would not think of taking up arms in such circumstances. Local residents who happened to be unintentional witnesses of the unfolding events remembered the girl as a heroine. She was humiliated and ashamed of herself, our swallow, but she drove away many of those boars to the afterlife, the old woman said in tears as the comrades in arms gave the heroine his last soldierly tribute. The name of the girl sniper was Valentina Nikonova, sniper of separate platoon of sniper girls of the 3rd Belarusian Front.